Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to Father Malone's weekly Roundup. I am Father Malone, and with me, as always, is the irrepressible, the lovable, the adorable Little Miss Ripley Jean. Ripley, say hello. Ripley, wake up. Here we go. It has been more than 30 years since Mulder and Scully began shining light into the dark corners of the world, bringing mutants and monsters and aliens and shadow governments into the living rooms of every American home. That's 3 decades, not only of the importance of the show itself, but its incalculable impact on popular culture and mainstream entertainment. Let me tell you something, and I'm speaking from experience. If in 1990 somebody were to ask you what your favorite thing was in the world, and you said zombie movies, you may as well have said, I'm from Neptune and my toes smell like asphalt. Pre-X-Files, horror was for lunatics and the deranged and everyone in the world on Halloween night. Then it was okay. Then we all loved it. We had to pull them all off all the shelves in the video stores. Anyway. What? You're a year old. This was 35 years ago. You don't know what you're talking about. Those are my Fangorias, you know. You're getting that you're not getting any more information. Anyway, listen. Having said that, the shift culturally toward horror and the supernatural and aliens has pretty much picked those bones dry as far as serialized television. There's been Buffys and Angels and Roswells aplenty. Plus all of those ghost hunting shows, man. Throw a rock and you'll hit one. And do me a favor, Mink. Throw it hard. Every facet of paranormal investigation and conjecture are on never-ending display thanks to these shows. Hell, I was a tour guide in a purported haunted museum for a while, so you can imagine the idea of taking on a new television series to watch, which, on its face, seems like nothing more than a bold theft of the X-Files' central premise. Dyed-in-the-wool believer man with pragmatic-to-a-fault woman, and let the paranormal activity fly. But then I went ahead and watched Evil. God damn it.
How many times have you declared a defendant sane?
Forensic psychologist doesn't declare.
How many times have you determined the defendant had the mental capacity to be prosecuted?
34 times.
Is my client possessed by a demon?
Are you referring to demons metaphorically or clinically?
Ms. Bouchard, I work for the Catholic Church.
So you're a priest?
No, an assessor. My colleague Ben and I investigate unexplained phenomenon.
I didn't know that was a job.
It is.
I don't believe in all that. Devils and possession.
The problem with my job is that possession looks a lot like insanity, and I need someone to help me distinguish between the two.
Orson? Baby, what's wrong?
This is what? A haunting?
Well, the theory is that the demon takes over the house, and then it takes over the person.
I know you believe in this stuff. I don't. Oh, this is stupid. Again, there's no demonic possession?
No. My wife believes in that stuff.
Why do you want me doing this?
There are people out there who do bad things and encourage others for their pleasure of it.
Psychopaths.
Yes, this is where our beliefs overlap.
It's not real. It's just a dream.
Can a dream do this?
Take this. Trust me, you may need it.
I'm here to tell the truth.
You're in way over your head, Miss Bouchard.
What happened to nonviolence?
It's provisional.
Is that what Jesus said?
You're a bitch.
Oh boy, do you have that right.
The trailer set up the plot better than I could, but it doesn't hint at the talent on screen. Katja Herbers, who was on Westworld, and Mike Coulter, the MCU's Luke Cage, are the duo here, and they are fantastic. Wholly different flavors of the believer and the skeptic. They're good together and separately, and I'm really digging it. Even with them, even with Michelle King and Robert King at the helm, they created The Good Wife. Even with the promise of Michael Emerson as some understated character study of anarchy, When Michael Emerson turns on the chills, there is no one scarier. He was Ben, the leader of the others on Lost. And Midnight viewers who have heard our Anthologies Attack, we talked about Frank Miller. We mentioned Mr. Emerson because he was the voice of the Joker in the animated Dark Knight Returns. He is perfection. And this show is so far also kind of perfection. I'm hooked. The pilot is flawless. And the show manages this really nifty trick in giving us this nightmare demon on screen who's genuinely frightening, then showing him again in daylight in an it's only make-believe setting, which spoils the entire trick, and then returning us to the nightmare version, and he loses no menace. It's remarkable. And Rockne S. O'Bannon, creator of Alien Nation and Farscape, he's a contributing writer here. I have an interview with Mr. O'Bannon a few episodes back about his time on Twilight Zone. Yes, I am self-plugging. You benefit from it too. I feed you for one thing. Anyway, Evil. Simple enough title. It's on Paramount Plus. They're finishing up their 4th and final season, so it's the perfect time to start watching. No lag time. No future, but at least you won't have to wait. Alright, what else is streaming? What else is new? Or just new to you? You realize there were several lifetimes worth of movies made before the year you were born. It's true. Shocking, but true. Weirder still is that we spend so much of our time complaining that there is either nothing to watch or too much of that ever-exploding content machine we have to stare down every time we open a device. But I have a solution to your problem. Fine. Ripley has a solution to your problem. And that very subtle growling is meant to get me to the next segment. Okay, the best segment. This is Ripley's pick. I didn't know you were into documentaries. A classic one at that. That's true. It does count as a narrative. We're talking about the 1973 Orson Welles classic, F for Fake.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of introduction, this is a film about trickery and fraud, about lies.
You don't talk about Napoleon or Julius Caesar. You're talking about Elmire.
Elmire?
Elmire?
Who is Elmire? That question has yet to be answered with any real precision.
Can I kiss you too? Anybody wants to eat?
In the world of the jet setters among us beautiful people, everybody knows Elmire. But Elmire what?
He has about 60 times the same name.
Dihori?
He's called his name Ori, Uri, Bori, Suri, Kori, Bari, Dori, all the...
Papa.
With U-R-Y, 60 names.
His real name was Elmire Ferenc Hoffman.
Then 60 personalities, as much lies and as much real.
Well, sounds very Jesuitic.
Yes, his world is a world of make-believe.
I'm not an actor.
Not an actor? Elmire?
I'm not an actor. I am not a professional actor.
He's a leading actor in this movie. His profession, it's true, is painting fakes. Among all fakers, Elmire is number 2.
Once, I saw a man from Ibiza writing a book on fake who came to see me to Paris. He said, I heard you are the first man who bought an Elmire.
And that man's name was...
Clifford Irving.
The important distinction to make when you're talking about the genuine quality of a painting is not so much whether it's a real painting or a fake. It's whether it's a good fake or a bad fake.
Ripley, we're both of a mind about Mr. Welles, yeah? Thought so. I know that most, if not all of you, remember Orson as a bloated Shakespearean pitchman at the end of his life. And he was, no doubt. You can hear it.
Get me a jury and show me how you can say in July, and I'll go down on you. That's just idiotic, if you'll forgive me by saying so. That's just stupid. In July. I'd love to know how you emphasize in July.
Others of you might recall him from Peter Bogdanovich's dead-eyed, endless parroting of his encounters with Welles. Good God, that is a fate worse than Paul Masson. But Orson Welles was vital for seemingly the entire modern age. He was at the forefront of cultural expression, even though, more often than not, he was relegated to the sidelines. His career was rife with frustration with everything from budgetary concern, to artistic meddling, to being targeted for arrest with an idea toward discrediting him. Here's something. Citizen Kane, widely regarded as the greatest film of all time, isn't even his best work. Lady from Shanghai, really? Oh yeah, that's true. Ripley has a thing for mirrors. Anyway, in movies like Citizen Kane and Lady from Shanghai, those are the ones you've probably heard of or potentially seen. Ripley's pick is lesser known, lesser lauded, and it's fucking brilliant. By 1973, the writing was on the wall for this once wunderkind. He was getting no play here in America as far as production went. His list of unrealized film projects at this point is staggering. So a French filmmaker, Francois Reichenbach, approached him about a documentary about a famed art forger. So Welles did what he does best. He turned a simple subject into a labyrinthine puzzle box of a movie. During the course of the film, Welles draws parallels with other famous forgeries, including his own, because what was the War of the Worlds radio broadcast if nothing other than an attempt to convince the whole of the American public of a great falsehood? Want to hear disingenuous? This is Welles the day after.
I know that almost everybody in radio would do almost anything to avert the kind of thing that has happened, myself included, but radio is new and we are learning about the effect it has on people. Learned a terrible lesson.
Anyway, F for fake. I don't want to say too much more and spoil even one frame of it, other than to implore you to pay close attention to everything Welles is saying in the opening scene. Trust me, it pays off. How's that? Oh yeah, F for Fake is streaming for free on Max right now. And if you find yourself as captivated as Ripley and myself, check out the documentary The Eyes of Orson Welles. That's also on Max, also free, also extraordinary. The main thing I watched this past week was The Watchers, which is currently available for streaming on Apple and Prime and a whole bunch of other places, but you do have to pay for it. We'll get back to that at the end.
I'm going out tonight. Try not to die. Try not to die. Try not to die. I thought you couldn't talk.
Hello? I need some help.
Where's the car?
You have 5 seconds before the door is sealed. 5, 4, 3, 2.
What is happening? What is this place?
I don't mean to scare you, but we haven't much time. It's not wise to keep them waiting. They'll be very interested in someone new.
It's a window on the other side. They come every night.
And they watch us.
What is that? What are they doing?
Applause. For you, mean it.
How long have you been here?
I don't know.
You've never seen one.
No one sees one and survives.
They have come to our world for a reason.
I'm not supposed to be here, and I'm not staying here.
They allow us to live because we follow their rules. You have broken too many.
What did you see?
I'm gonna try to get in.
Try not to die.
I saw myself.
Someone's out there.
Please open the door.
John? My husband's outside.
This is a trick.
Oh my God.
This film takes place in modern-day rural Ireland, and it stars Dakota Fanning. Remember her? She plays a rudderless American expatriate who's working in a pet shop, and she's tasked with transporting a bird to a zoo. But she has to drive through a dense forest to get there. The movie is part fairy tale, part psychological experiment, part meditation on grief. It's the kind of film you'd expect from Shyamalan. And it is, although the next generation. Dakota Fanning's Mina finds herself lost in the woods with several others who take shelter in a concrete box that was built to observe the supernatural creatures that populate the woods, but now serves the exact opposite function. Now, I love Irish folklore. It is wildly underused, and I think it's wildly underrepresented in cinema. So when a film does embrace it, like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, it tends to blow convention out the window. In fact, I think it creates new conventions. So I was pretty stoked when this film began because it was really sure-footed and it was gentle. And then the characters began making decisions. Hoo boy! And then other choices were made. And some of us chose to keep watching The Watchers, all the way to the end. No spoilers here, but I will say that the film tries way too hard to obfuscate a twist by packing our heads with ultimately irrelevant and, more pressingly, unbelievable moments and ideas. And how do you have a film about Irish fairies and never refer to them as the she? I don't want to give you a negative impression overall about the film. It is worth a look, particularly as a first feature. There's some genuine dread in this movie. And anytime you can make a forest this sinister, that shows me nothing but promise. I hope she keeps making horror flicks. We're in desperate need. See, here's the thing. Ever since the letter A met the number 23, a lot of legitimate filmmakers have seized on the notion that it's now okay to make horror films as long as they're lofty, as long as they're elevated. And the simplest and somehow not pretentious way to get there is grief. Grief is powerful. And it's just as prevalent as love or humor in everyone's life. We just don't talk about it in popular media. I'd like to think that's out of some sort of reverence, but more likely it's that it's nearly impossible to make entertaining. Horror has always been the place where it's been able to live. But it's becoming cliché. Worse, it's becoming cheap. And ultimately, grief as a kind of close-to-the-bone shorthand does not absolve you from decent characters or dialogue. I think Robert Eggers' movies are beautiful, and I'm looking forward to Nosferatu, I really am, but his movies are a slog. I have thrice attempted to watch The Lighthouse, and I have thrice slumbered, and I'm an insomniac. The Lighthouse is better than NyQuil. And all those gorgeous tableaux he traffics in, those are just moving recreations of classical paintings. And how do you make a movie about a family banished from a Puritan village into the wild and not have absolute terror for 90 minutes? What? I don't disagree with you. Yes, the climax is freaky and beautiful, but I'm not debating the merits of the Vavitch with you, Ripley. Okay. Disagree. Like I said, The Watchers, which is what we're talking about, is currently available for streaming for a fee on Prime and Apple Plus and the usual gang of streamers. I am recommending this movie overall, but I'm also recommending you wait till you can see it for free. That's going to do it for this week's weekly roundup, unless you've got anything more, Ripley. You got any quick recommendations for people out there? The Beekeeper, Godzilla x Kong, The Fallen Empire of Dreams, or whatever the hell that is. How about that Ghostbusters movie? No? Nothing? All right. Well then, on her behalf and mine as well, thank you for joining us here at Midnight Viewing. Until next time. Get these episodes early and commercial-free at patreon.com/Father Malone. Or if you just want to lend us a hand, if you could give us a 5-star review over at Apple Podcast, we would certainly appreciate it.